How's it going, everybody? This is DeanoGTO, and today we're going to be looking at the T10, the Tier 9 Russian heavy tank that currently leads to nothing. However, I think next patch, this tank is going to get its Tier 10. And the Tier 10 is going to be the Object 277. And there's also going to be a rework of the Russian rear turreted line. Like, they're all going to basically become more like the Object 416. So, I know people were hoping the Object 416 would become more like the Object 432, because the 432 has ridiculously troll armor and is really frustrating to shoot at. But they're going to weaken its armor and make it play more like an Object 416. And the Tier 10, it basically looks like a big 416. Let's jump in some gameplay in the T10 here, because T10 is a vehicle. Well, I said the T10. The IS-8, back when I played this thing, it was called the IS-8, was a tank I absolutely adored. I never actually played the T10 version of this vehicle until a few months back, but I never really started playing it a lot because I had a bunch of different grinds and stuff I was doing, so I never really had the time to commit to actually playing this thing. But now that the Object 277 is going to be coming out, hopefully next patch, I feel like now is a better time than ever to actually try to, well, try to get some XP up on this vehicle, because I really want to get the Object 277 as soon as it launches, because I think it's going to have a 130mm gun, and it's basically going to emphasize all of the things that make this tank great. Like, this tank is fantastic because of its mobility combined with the 122mm gun, which is really reliable. It has incredible turret armor. This thing, I always described it as pretty much the best Russian Tier 9 medium tank. Meanwhile, the T-54 was the best Russian heavy tank, as the joke goes. And the thing is, something that blew my mind back when I first started, and when people were telling me the difference between how good T-54 was, I honestly remember people telling me oh yeah, the T-54 has better armor than the equivalent Tier 9 heavy tank. And I remember looking at the IS-8 and just being like, wait, what? What? I just remember looking at the armor profile and just being like, okay, that has 120mm front armor, 80 side armor. Look at the T-54, had exactly the same. Looked at the front turret armor, upgrade turrets on both of them had exactly the same. I was just like, wait, really? Not much of a heavy tank, is it? And then, well, I played it and I ended up liking this thing more than the T-54 for the most part. The only real thing that holds this thing back is, well, you could argue its gun depression has 5 degrees, but 5 degrees is completely workable once you know the positions that this tank likes to use. And I would really like to get a shot into this 268, however, I don't think he's going to give me one. Can't hope the IS-4 goes around. And by the way, the crew I'm using in this thing was originally my T10 crew. It is now my IS-4, well, it was my IS-4 crew, but I sold the IS-4 in order to rebuy this thing and stuck the IS-4 crew back in this thing. So now this crew is back in its original home. So let's see, 268v4, which way is he pointing? He's pointing this direction. Why is he looking towards me even though there's an IS-4 in his face? Weird. Okay, so if I can track this guy, that would help out a lot. I don't think he's going to stay around though. Nope, he is diving down the hill. Fortunately, we do not have anybody on the ridge opposite to take advantage of that, so not great, but we can at least move around now and oh shit. Let's track this guy and hopefully we'll be able to go down and around the bastard. Okay, yep, got around him. Oh wow, set him on fire, sweet. Yes. Okay, let's get some damage into this guy here. Hopefully we're able to get rid of him sooner rather than later. The fire effect seems to last a really long time. It lasts a lot longer than you. Oh wow. Oh wow, he's not even using Top Gun. Okay, that's interesting to note. And there's the Type 4 dealt with. So 2000 damage at this point. Object 268v4 has kind of screwed himself by going into a position where he can't just point his front towards the enemy. Batchat already killed the light tank, which is not great, because, well, this is the part of the match where light tanks become really important. So let me see. Okay, so the IS-4 reckons when you cap fast. I made a bit of a dumb error there by stopping in the open. Okay, sweet, got the 155.58. Or no, 55. That 263 though is the thing that's worrying me. Where exactly was he located? I think he was like right there. Really need to get down this hill before he can shoot me again. I think I did, yes. Cool. So I'm on still pretty decent health. Just trying to determine like what the best thing for me to do now is. That's a conqueror. Is he? Oh, he's pointing towards me. Right. It was kind of difficult to tell because he was just looking directly at me. I wasn't sure if he was pointing the other direction or not. So I'm going to just quickly turn my ass around and go the other way because fighting a conqueror in that sort of scenario is not particularly good. As soon as a conqueror or a super conqueror is hulled down, there's really no point in even attempting to fight them because, well, third armor in those tanks is just yeah, it's not gonna happen. So let's try and go for a low front plate shot on this guy, and he exposed it to me. Nice. See, that's always the risky thing about a tank with a big lower front plate. As soon as you try to fall back off of any sort of ridge, you're just going to make your lower front plate a massive target, and it's going to be really, really easy to just kind of zero in on it and get some shots into it. I'm going to take a bit of a risk here and go straight across the open. Shit, the IS-4 is dead. Balls, I didn't expect that. Where the hell could the T-30 be located? Hang on, where was T? Oh, T-30 is right there. Oh, never mind. Because I was wondering that because I actually didn't see the T-30 was spotted. So I actually kind of just really wasn't really thinking there. So it was a bit of a stupid moment by me here. Okay, so I should try and go around behind these guys so I can kind of pinch them a bit. If I had just looked around me a little bit more, I would have noticed that quicker. And the enemy artillery, of course, which is surprising to no one, has killed himself because, you know, that's just what artillery do. But yeah, like playing this tank is honestly like riding a bike. You never forget how to do it. This tank is just great. I really do. Like, this thing I honestly consider to be probably the closest thing you can get to a Centurion in the Russian line. Like, it's just, like, you don't get the gun depression, yeah. You don't get the view range either, but you get the big, meaty gun, and you get the overall mobility and stuff, which is just great. Like I just really do like this tank. And the tier 10 for this line is just going to get even better with a 130mm gun. I think it's going to have a faster aiming time. It's going to have a slower rate of fire because it's a bigger gun, but I think that's going to be kind of workable. It's going to have the same, like, well, not the exact same turret, but it's still going to have a great turret. It's going to have a weak-ish hull, but one thing I've always liked about the T10 is that even though the actual like hull armor isn't great, if you're using your gun depression, this part of the hull is actually really, really good. And it's just, this tank's just fun to drive. It really, really is. And it says 120mm on the front and 120mm on the side. However, the 120mm on the side is this zone here. It's 80mm down here. And goes exactly the same with the IS-8. Also, one thing which I always really liked about this tank, something that catches people out whenever it comes to this tank in comparison to other Russians, the actual body is pretty high up. Like, look at how much of a gap there is between this and the ground. And like, pretty much the entirety of the road wheels are under the hull. So if you hit the road wheel, or you're aiming at the road wheel, and you hit exactly where you're aiming, you're not going to do damage to the tank because the actual like body of the tank is raised up significantly from where you would expect. Like, that was always like a big thing I liked about this tank in comparison to the IS-3, because I think the IS-3 is a much more like low to the ground vehicle. Like, it's got like a much wider region behind the tracks that you can hit. So yeah, I might be thinking of like a different model of the thing because it doesn't seem as big as it used to. But well, still a slight difference between them. Like I think I may be thinking of like one of the older iterations of the IS3 model because well, that tank's out of 5. In fact, yeah, you want to think I might be. Like there is still a gap. You can still see like a slight difference between the height of the body on the T10 and the height of the body on the IS3. Yeah, there is still a difference, just not quite as obvious as it used to be. I think if you watch, I think it was Jingles. I think Jingles did a video on the T10, or no, it wasn't T10 at the time, on the IS8, and he kind of shows the difference between the two when it comes to the like the side, like he does it in the garage part of the review. So yeah, like you'll be able to see kind of what I was going for there. Let's just see. So I'm tapped here. There's 257 on the enemy team. 257 is definitely going to be the better armored vehicle. And he has pretty much exactly the same gun as me, but technically a bit better. Because he has APCR standard rounds. I'm not sure if his aiming times are worse or better. I would guess worse. I would hope worse. There's a bat chat. We have a 430. Whereas they have a T30 and we have a Waffentrager. Okay. So going purely by the tier 9s, I think they have the better tier 9s overall. Because they have an auto-loading medium, which if it's played by a good player, it will be absolutely devastating. If you catch someone out, it'll just wreck them. They have an Object 257, which any idiot can play and do really, really well. But if it's driven by a good player, rest in pieces pretty much. T30 as well is also relatively easy to do well in tank if it's using a 155. If it's using a 120, then maybe not. But if it's using a 155, then it could be a bit of an issue. Right, and it looks like our team's going to kill the M4190. That's awesome. Wow, this MX is really pushing his luck, isn't he? Thing is, he really shouldn't be able to penetrate me. And oh, right, I see what he's doing. He's going for that position over there. Crafty. See, this is not a sort of position I would usually use in this tank, but I kind of have to try and use this position because I am the heavy tank of the team. And even though that's not really like what this tank likes to do, I kind of have to play this role for now because, well, they have an Object 257 and we all know what those things are like. 257 is making the cross. Okay, so that's good to know. Really? Well, I got a little bit trolled by my gun there. But I still took a bit of damage. It's good. Not particularly concerned with those tanks penetrating me. And wow, the VK is using a HE cam. IS is pretty much a one hit for anybody with a decent bit of alpha damage. It's good to know. Oh wow, he actually did damage that time, huh? I think that time he probably shot me in the front of the turret, whereas last time I think he may have clipped my gun. Not really much of a visual on that guy. Go for the roof weak point on that guy, but not really able to hit it. So far this is not going particularly well. I think I'm going to have to start falling back because we don't have artillery or anything to support us. Which would be pretty handy in this particular match. Because, well, they have an Object 257. And those things are really annoying. Okay, so the 110 I think is using the 100 mil. Almost certain. Given how quickly he came around the corner after he'd already fired at the KV3. Let's see, can I kill this ELC even 90? That would be useful to have dead as well. No, he's well behind that rock. It looks like other people are getting some shots into him. Okay. T-44 is still hanging out there. And IS, wow. The IS is still alive. Jesus. I'll take a bit of a risk here and see if I can go for a shot on this guy. Nice. Well, even 90 just survived that. God damn it. I'm gonna have to start falling back here. I think there are too many tanks in this area. I feel like a bit of a scumbag for having to fall back, but I think it may wind up being like the only real option I have. Nail the scout. Right, so the scout is dead. The Su-100M1 should go down if somebody shoots him with a HE round. Waffentrager's killed him, nice. Now let's try and help these guys out from a bit of distance because I've lost a lot of health. One thing I definitely don't want to do is I don't want to go up and over this ridge, but I'm going to have to, aren't I? Given the way this is playing out, I think I'm going to have to go up and over here. But the problem with me doing this is the 5 degrees of gun depression. Having just that 5 degrees could bone me here. I missed. Shit! That was a crucial shot, and I'm really annoyed I missed that. I'm genuinely annoyed I missed that. And I just balls that shot up too. Okay, so in this sort of fight here, I can win versus the 257, but it's going to be tricky. If I'm honest, all the 257 really needs to do is come around in a good way, but I can hopefully hold this guy up. If I'm able to hold him up for long enough, then I think the Waffentrager could help me out. Waffentrager's not a fast tank though. And yep, I have a feeling he's waiting on his buddy. Okay, so let's try and use this rack behind me. Nope, T-34-100 is just coming closer. It's not great. He's got a lot of health too, which is not great. Okay, I need to focus on the 257. Okay, 257 is dead. Now it's time for the T-34-100. Okay, come on, come on. Ah, shit. Balls. I think the Waffentrager panicked a little bit and missed those two shots. But yeah, I think those last two games there just kind of showed you like what you can do in this tank. The mobility in this tank frees up so many opportunities. And plus the actually having some armor to go along with that mobility is awesome. It really is awesome to have that combination of the armor and the firepower. And the mobility is just, like, for a heavy tank, it's genuinely good. So let's just see the team scores. So, Badshot 25 TFP managed to get a high caliber there. I think I did okay there. Waffentrager I think got pretty unlucky, although saying that there he only got 900 damage in that game. Where's the other tier 9? 430 I think died pretty early on, so that's a bit unfortunate. 257 did pretty well. I am pretty annoyed that I died to the T-34-100. I really do think that I may have been able to win that if I hadn't died to that guy. But the situation, like, the stars would have had to align for me to manage that there, because the bat chat, I may have just, like, talked about how good the mobility is on this tank, but a tank as quick as that, if he had enough health to take a hit from me, then he would have won that match. Just as long as he had some brains, which clearly he did because he had a high caliber in that game. Okay, so on to the final points of the video. So, I think the T10 is a fantastic tank. I'm really excited to see what the Object 277 will be like. I'm not sure if I'm actually going to be able to get onto the test server this time, because I have to download a full new client because I had to delete the old client because I was running out of hard drive space. So I'm not 100% sure when it will be exactly, like, for like when I'll be able to like do some videos on test server if I even get a chance to. So yeah, I think this vehicle here in comparison to the WZ-111-14, I feel like these tanks are neck and neck. Just this one has the better overall mobility. Meanwhile, the 111-14 had the better alpha damage, and this thing had the better gun handling to compensate for having less alpha damage. But for the tier 10s, the 111 5A versus the Object 277, it's going to be really interesting to see which one comes out on top. Because I have a feeling the Russian will likely have the better gun handling still, because I think it's going to have less gun depression. Like, it's going to have like maybe 5 or 6 degrees in comparison to 7. And I think it's also probably going to be slightly more mobile, because I think it's going to have a more powerful engine, just from memory from looking at stats from like the last leak I saw. So yeah, let me know what you guys think is like what you guys think is the better tier 9, and what's your prediction for which will be the better tier 10 between these two lines, because I feel like these two vehicles, the 111 14 and the T10, are probably the most comparable vehicles at tier 9. So yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comment section below, and are you actually going to be grinding for the Object 277? Or have you already grind out a bunch of XP? Because I think I've heard the 277 is going to be about 220,000 XP. So yeah, could take a little while for me to get it, but I'm going to enjoy every moment of it because the T10 is just a fantastic tank. I mean, I love the IS-8, and the IS-8 was effectively a T10, but with a significantly worse turret. I mean, just to give you an idea, this turret here that says T10, this was the top turret whenever I was driving the IS-8. So it had 200mm front armor, and that was an absolutely massive just hindrance to the way the vehicle played. So yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Hopefully you enjoyed the video, and thanks for watching. I will see you in the next one.